What's up, guys? This is Victor for Dummies and Guns here. Check out the latest single, The Lonesome Man. It's a real banger. And hey, you're listening to Punks in Pubs podcast. Keep it real, motherfucker.
Ladies and gentlemen, losers and laddies, welcome! This little story about the biggest snake anywhere. Yeah, it's about you, bitch. It's enough, folks. It's your heaven. The story about the man stealing lights in the night. Cold is cold. It's always cold. But the moon's drawing out at night. The hunt, young ones, where it is. No God, because you're not younger. Yes, that's love. We're ready to the hero. Hell run to us. It's lights in the darkness. You can hear it, sing a song, sing along. And I want you to be mine. I want you to be mine. I want you to be mine. And I want you so. Please tell me, la 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 la. I hate those fucking laws. Baby, please tell me, la 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 la. La 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 la. Baby, please tell me, la la la. I really want you to be mine. A century or more, those man of the tide from behind the dark. Set the fire, let it get higher, learning faster on the fire. Let it get each other wilder. Like climbing higher. It's the night, roll up the helios of Hammock. Yeah, reach the biggest guns, hunting up these young cunts. Sing along. I want you to be mine. I want you to be mine. I want you to be mine. I want you so. Please tell me, la 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 la. I hate those fucking laws. Baby, please tell me, la 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 la. La 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 la. Baby, please tell me, la la la. Only want you to go.
Hello and welcome to the Punks in Pubs podcast. My name is Liam Bird and thank you for joining me, and fuck, doesn't the world seem just a little bit brighter. If you have been listening to the podcast over the past couple of weeks, you have noticed that we focus solely on the US election, and happy days, Trump will be fucking leaving that place either of his own will or marched out, hopefully with handcuffs on his wrists. It's happy days, guys. I mean, there might be a cure for COVID, and that might mean that we might be able to do this back in a fucking pub, because I hate doing interviews over Skype. That doesn't mean, guys, that you can't keep wearing masks if you can possibly wear masks, and also keep social distancing. Pretend you're going around the world surrounded by stinky little fuckers who you don't want to touch. But let's keep this, happy vibes. Keep them going. And if you want a reminder of those happy days, why not go pick yourself up a Punks in Pub t-shirt? There's a tedious link in there somewhere, just don't dig too deep for it. Go to the Punks in Pub's Etsy site and pick yourself up a shirt and get a free sticker as well, or stickers. Sometimes I throw 2 stickers in there. Generous. Spread the wealth. If you get a t-shirt, you're also supporting a DIY podcast, and that's great because we churn out gold, let's face it. There will be a link in the episode description of this podcast. You can find it on your phone, tablet, or wherever the fuck you listen to me from. Or if you like, you can go Google search. Other search engines are available. Punks in Pubs Etsy, and you'll find a link to these organic fair trade cotton t-shirts. I try to do that in my Marks and Spencer's voice. If you're not from the UK, you have no idea what the fuck Marks and Spencer's are. Let's keep this good vibe going with my guest for episode 67, the Kevin Bacon of punk rock, Jon Snodgrass. I made the Kevin Bacon reference because if you know the game, The 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, you can do that with Jon. Because the 7 Degrees of Snodgrass will bring you to such punk artists as Tim from Rise Against, Joey Cape Lagwagon, Stephen Eglinton of Descendants, I hope I said his last name right, Stacey D, Bad Cop, and Derek Zanti from the Homeless Gospel Choir. And that's just a collaboration on Jon's new album, Tace, or Tache. We're not sure how we pronounce that. You'll find out what we're talking about a little later when I chat to Jon. FYI, go back and listen to my chat with Stacey D of Bad Couple for episode 59 and Joey Cape of Lagwagon on episode 39. So let me tell you about my chat with Jon. Right, I spend a long time preparing my interviews because I'm not one of those dudes who can reel off knowledge off the top of my head. I just don't have that capacity in my brain. I need to know what I'm going to talk about and what topics and issues I'm going to hit on, so I have notes in front of me when I'm talking to my guests. That way I know I'm going to get a good interview, or I hope I get a good interview. But every so often, you have a person whereabouts you kind of start noticing that they just want to chat. They just want a free flow, not particularly about a certain subject matter, and they just want to have a natural conversation, which isn't the case with some interviews that you do. And when that happens, you just kind of let it flow, you kind of forget about your notes, and you just see where it takes you. This interview is 100% that kind of chat. There is a thin string of structure, otherwise it's just all over the place, very random, but I say this in the most joyful, happy way. It was such a good chat with Jon, and it was a pleasure to talk to him. So I'm not even going to try and explain what we talk about. I just want you to sit back, whatever you're doing, relax. Don't sit back and relax if you're driving. That's just dangerous. Just enjoy the episode. FYI, links to all the music you're about to hear is in the episode description of this podcast. I'll be back after my chat with Jon to wrap up a couple of things. But until then, enjoy episode 67.
Okay, here goes. Let the TV party begin.
Coffee time is happening. Here we go.
We are talking right now via the power of the internet because that's the way the world is right now. In front of me, I have Jon Snodgrass making coffee in his home that he's decided to rebuild, even though there's nothing wrong with it.
I'll tell you what, I just had a breakthrough right here. I think not only am I making the coffee here in the corner, but yes, this outlet that we added, it's working.
Win.
There's no, I thought that was going to be working, and it's totally working. I don't even want to know why. I think, yeah, it's working.
Good times. So we're going to talk about your new album. How do you pronounce it? Tech.
Well, here's the thing. It's pretty funny, which it all is. It's actual kind of irony that I believe I was probably mispronouncing it because I just did an interview and the lady goes, is it pronounced Tache? I'm like, I don't know, maybe. And like, so I went and I actually hit, okay. When I came up with it, I was going on tour with Foggy Molly and I needed one of those banners. And I had an idea for, I drew out the stick figure jumping into jumping in the water. And it said R&R Swim Club, which I thought was funny. And sometimes I either talk too much on stage or I talk too little. But I thought it would just be a funny thing for me to always throw to and be like, R&R Swim Club, rest and relaxation, but obviously like the rock and roll swim. But regardless, the whole idea was dumb. And and I was told that they're like, yeah, the folks that like Foggy Molly, they're not going to really get that. Like you should do something more. And I go, how about my Scottish family crest? And it's that bird. Right? And it's just the facta non verba, action, not words. I looked up on Google Translate. I just wrote, shh, because, I was going to use that too. Like, that's to remind me not to talk too much. It's taste in Latin. But I didn't do I didn't hit I just read it. I didn't really hit the audio on it. Yeah. So back to a week ago, and she's like, is it pronounced Tache? And I'm like, no. And then after the interview, I'm like, I hit the button, like, what's that called? You just hit like an audio and they read it. And he goes, Tache. Oh, no.
There you go. Learning stuff even about your own album names and the stuff you've come up with.
But it's funny because, like, all that says to me is, like, just stop talking. Just listen. That's the whole idea. Like, because I'd already had this song that was on deck that isn't on the record, but I actually put it on this kid's record. And it's called Jumpy, Jumpy, Wee and Woo also, because it's a silly song I wrote for my kids, just made them happy. But then I ended up writing a verse for it. Like, it was just a silly riff, but I wrote a riff for it. Words for it, proper words. And it's from that whole, I don't know, someone, once again, in another interview, I said I thought it was from a Buddhist saying, but then someone else told me it was a Socrates thing. And, but it's the whole, if you're going to say something, you need to make sure that it's three things, that it's truthful, make sure there's a reason for it, and make sure that it's honest. Like that's just a way to think about, like if you want to not screw up and just be cool, that's a good way to live your life. So that's kind of the idea of the whole taste thing. And, right now I'm just running off at the mouth, but we are having an interview, but I try to keep it cool.
I've always been told that if you're not really sure, just say it with enough confidence, then people will believe you eventually. That's what I got told. So if you like, you could say that your album name is the meaning of life, and as long as you say it with enough confidence, the person who you're saying it to will go, yeah, he's right. Even if I know you're wrong, I would go, oh no, he is right. I'm going to doubt myself because this person's so confident.
Yeah, that's salesmanship, I guess. That's right. But what's weird is that also, and again, I appreciate you talking to me, because I do want people to know about these records, that I make and stuff. But I've kind of been going through this transformation of like ego, like no ego, like peeling it back to nothing. And so it's kind of a weird position that I'm in. I've always kind of been there, but I'm just taking it to like another level. Credit, not really wanting it. Yeah. Kind of being embarrassed when I get it, doing a lot of things anonymously.
Well, if you want, we can do a whole interview whereby I just slag you off, and then you just take it.
I'm not saying that I want to get wailed on. I'm just saying like praise, or not necessarily praise, but just it has to do with when we had kids. So, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and I just said once I had kids, then I just felt like, yeah, my stuff's over, like it's done. It's not about on my birthday. Yeah, my daughter's birthday is 3 days after, but the run up to that is always about her. Like I don't care. Doesn't matter anymore. So, and I've kind of just put that to like everybody, like is like with Twitter and stuff like that. I mean, it makes me feel good I kind of promote other people's stuff more. I put more work into other people's songs than I put into my songs. So I was very fortunate to have a bunch of awesome people play on my record, because they were stoked and they helped, it was great, and I could just kind of say, here's what I wrote, and then see where they take it.
Well, here's something that I think we're going to disagree with straight away.
Okay.
I've been fortunate enough to... you live in Colorado now, don't you?
Yes, sir.
I have been fortunate enough to spend a little bit of time in Denver. And when I was in Denver, I went and watched some baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went and watched the Rockies. And I have to say, I enjoyed the experience. The sport itself was trash. It's the equivalent of cricket in the UK. It is slow. I don't know what's going on. And it was just not my thing.
Because sometimes cricket goes on for like 3 days, right?
Yes, mate.
Oh, that sounds great. If baseball, I'm so into it. No, dude. Okay, so you only watched one game, right?
I did only watch the one game, but I want you to explain to me what I missed. What am I missing? Why? Because I'm a big fan of like soccer, NFL, ice hockey, rugby, tennis. Like I'm a big sports fan. But baseball, I just couldn't.
Kind of like non-stop action. This is more like it's a pretty mental game that gets super physical sometimes, and it's just bursts of like, holy shit, how did that happen? It's one of those games where like annually you are surprised by some crazy shit. Just crazy things can happen. And I'm not thinking of one at the moment, but I will think of something before the interview's done. But no, it's like, it's a pitcher and a hitter, mainly. I mean, that's the main part of the game. And the pitcher is just trying to figure out how to sneak that ball across the plate. And, you throw it fast, then you throw it slow right after that. You can make it turn, it's awesome, man.
But why can't they speed it up? I mean, like in England now, we've got 20-20 cricket, which is basically 20 overs of the ball, but it's really rapid. Like it's done in about 2 hours. Get that in baseball, and I'm there.
Some baseball games are about 2.5 hours. That's a quick one. They're about 3 hours normally. We are going to disagree because I wish they were 4 hours. Like I love them, but I will tell you this: it is pretty interesting. I got a lot done during quarantine. Obviously, I am not stoked that people are getting sick and dying, of course, but I do kind of like hopefully, not necessarily everyone is doing this, but just to pause and take note of what is important to you, I feel like a lot of people are going to come out of this and they're like, I didn't like that job at all. I'm not doing it. Or I can do this job from home. We will retool it and we'll figure it out. And maybe the owner doesn't have to spend as much money on rent for this building, and then we use this building for some community center. Like, who knows? Like, there's a lot of different, if people keep the glass half full, I think there's a lot of positives that could come out of it. But anyways, what I was saying was, so between March and now, I mean, I put out a record that was going to come out. I made another record with Frank that we talked about. We'll probably get to later, but I made a kids record. And then I've written about 35 jingles for people. I've just been writing jingles for folks. I tore a bunch out of my house. I mean, my house is going to be about 370 square feet bigger, which is great because I have kids and they take them over the house. But I don't think all of that would have happened if baseball season hadn't been canceled. Because I'm not kidding. It takes at a minimum 3 hours out of my day. I mean, they play almost every day. And that's a minimum. Then there's like just the getting excited for it, getting ready to watch it, finishing watching it, tweeting people about the game and how pissed you are about something, which that's not true. I never get pissed about it.
Hey, Hopper, what's that new song you wrote?
Go baseball, go baseball, go baseball, go baseball, go baseball.
Ah.
go baseball, go baseball, go baseball. Opera song, go baseball, go baseball, go baseball. Opera son, baseball chimpanzee. Chin strap for his teeth. It's home runs over the trees. His name is Chimpanzee. Go baseball.
Dad, a chin strap is for your chin, not your teeth.
Go baseball.
I have to come back to something you said then. You've been making jingles.
Yes.
Like radio jingles.
Yes. Like one was for a guy in Austin, and it went, cruiser time, cruiser time. It's pack your feet will smile on this tile. Cruiser time, yes, cruiser time. We've been down here in Austin, Texas for a while. Call KREUZER.com. That's one of them. That was a good one.
How did this come about? Why did you want to write jingles? Like, I can understand, like, if you were in that industry of marketing or I suppose you are as a musician, but the idea of doing 30-second or 20-second or 15-second songs. Now I'm saying it, I'm thinking, well, this is kind of pretty punk fucking rock. Doing little short snippet songs.
I ended up doing one for the city. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. There's mild lags. Sorry, sort of cut you. But I did one for the city, and they asked me to do a PSA, and I wrote two for them, and they chose which one they liked. The guy who asked me to do it, that was kind of producing the commercial, he's like, I kind of wrote this song. I wondered if you'd help me with it. I'm like, okay. And I checked it out, and, it wasn't terrible, but his best line was, "Don't be an ass, wear a mask." I'm like, did he sign off on that? I'm like, okay. So we could do this whole, don't be an ass. Wait, a mask doesn't make you look foolish. Some people says it looks coolish. But whatever the case, cover your face. Don't be an asshole. But over hole, it goes, don't be an ass. Donkey? Like a donkey sound? Where? That's not the one we used. But the other one, it's pretty much the same words. And anyhow, when I delivered the song, I actually had to do a commentary at the end where then I basically go into, donkeys are stubborn. They're known to be stubborn, but it doesn't really matter. Like I go into that whole idea. And when I sent it to him, he goes, "Man, you're kind of like a pro. That was exactly 1 minute." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, it's my new gig, my new thing. Yes, I wrote the song and I found the perfect speed and I made it 1 minute. There's a 30-second version too, dude." It's super fun to work on that. But it all comes back to baseball, my friend, because I was doing an interview before I went. Well, it was scheduled before the pandemic started. And then they were like, "Do you still want to do this interview?" I said, "Yeah." So we talked about how the pandemic was like right at the beginning. It was March 17th, I think. I mean, it was right there. I was supposed to start tour on March 20th because I book a lot of shows around Colorado Rockies baseball, like away games. So it was going to start in San Diego, and I was going to opening day. I was going to watch baseball, and then I go basically like down the street, play at the Casbah, which is the best. But not only do you get to maybe take a day off and go see baseball, you can just whatever pub you're in or bar, wherever you want to go, it's going to be playing local. Like your team is in that town, so it's going to be on the local channel all the time. So it's kind of a smart thing to do. But anyways, back to the reason where the jingle started. So I'm doing an interview with them, and as the interview was starting, I thought that their intro music, it was just this, what do you call it? But the music that is free, it's like free use music, or you pay for like a subscription and you can like access a lot of like production, for broadcasters and production people. There's a lot of free music, and it's just kind of bogus. But I listened to this podcast, and it's called the Purple Dinosaur Podcast. It's the Colorado Rockies podcast, and I listened to and I'm like, I always hear this music, and I'm very used to it. So then when they're starting the interview, I'm like, Purple Dinosaur Cats, Purple Dinosaur Podcast. And I wrote a song for them with Tyler Munn and Tony Masterson. And I'd say their names, I do the whole thing. And they're like, holy shit, that's cool. And but then about a week later, then I sent them like a fully produced version of it. And it's their intro music now. And I've since written bumper music and stuff for them. And that's kind of how it started, because they knew, you know, everyone like me and a lot of folks. This is why I try not to complain about it, because we're all equally kind of fucked. But, you know, we're in like a tight spot. And I told them, like, I always wanted to be a jingle man. And they're like, if anyone needs a jingle, call John. I got about 30. I wrote songs for people, like some dudes that maybe pissed off their wife, you know. I wrote a Valentine's Day song. I wrote a song for just a family, name checked the kids. I wrote a song for a smart little girl. I recycled some songs because I thought it was funny, like that Cruiser Tile. I wrote one for Jose Gonzalez. It's the guy that was helping me do the concrete. But I found a way to explain that, yeah, it's good to recycle. We need to recycle. But it was just me being lazy and using the same song.
So
but
are you the kind of person where I could put you in a room and you could probably write a song about anything in the room? Like, do you have that kind of ability to be able to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have that. So there's no reason for me to brag about it. But I mean, I could, yeah, I've always done that. Me and my friend Chad Rex, like when we were kids, we would come home from school. Like we had a little 2-track recorder. And then I found a way to put a stereo jack in one. So we kind of turned it into recording 3 tracks, you know, like just totally rigged it. But yeah, we just wrote songs when we got home from school. This would be like 7th grade. Going into 7th grade is when I would start going over there to his house. And we would literally come home from school and just kind of open up our books. Like there's a song I always talk about it called Many Types of Hammers. It was pretty good. It was just like a list of hammers. Many types of hammers. No need for clamor. Ball peen, hammer, claw hammer, toe hammer. Really dumb.
So was music always kind of in your life then? Was it something that you got from your family? Like, was it always on the radio, always in the car? How did music come into your life?
It was, yeah. I mean, I listened to the radio in the car all the time. We went on a lot of long trips. I remember laying in the back of the car, like above the seats in American cars, like big American cars, you know, like Oldsmobiles and stuff. For like a little 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid, you can just lay up behind the seats. I mean, totally not safe. like that's not happening today. But this car we had, it was an Oldsmobile, I think, and on the speaker, like the speaker mesh that was on the top,
yeah,
you know, it was kind of squishy, you know, and I put my head on it, you know, and you just hear boom, 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 listen to Conway Twitty and country music, stuff that had a lot of, you know, 70s, you know, 80s, like low end. It was cool. It's a good time.
You said country. Was that like predominantly music growing up? That kind of country Americana?
I listened to my earliest stuff that I listened to. I always remember. I mean, it was Beatles and Chris Christopherson and Merle Haggard, Hank Williams Sr. Mm-hmm. I liked that stuff, and the Beatles. I mean, and I still like that stuff a lot, obviously. But then, yeah, when I was saying like 7th grade, I remember. I mean, I got into like Adam and the Ants and stuff and the Ramones, but then I got into in 7th grade. My mom went back to school. It's another story I've told a lot, but there was this cassette tape. Like the first time she went back to school, because my parents split up, and she went back to school to, you know, get a better degree, you know, and make more money, you know, and help take care of us. And the first summer, I was left alone pretty much, you know, and then found out like that wasn't maybe that casual, wasn't that cool?
That
like,
casual.
So yeah, so the next summer, I stayed at this family's house, and I slept in the son's room, who had also gone off to college. And there was this tape, this Husker Du tape, and she went to Lincoln, Nebraska, which the football team is called the Huskers. And when I saw it, I mean, I'd already been listening to like REM and Let's Active and Lou Reed and just kind of just Meat Puppets, which I was into, but the Husker Du record blew my mind, and I picked it up because I thought it was like I'd already seen like little alternative music, like samplers, and I thought, oh, maybe my mom left this for me. It's some kind of, it's the Welcome Back to School, Huskers. This is the new, sampler of all. And I'm like, oh, this is all the same band. Oh, cool. I put it on. I'm like, holy shit, this is like loud, aggressive, the Beatles. It's so good. That's a pretty important band to me. And then I remember when Chad and I, when the Descendants All record, our friend Matt Brawl brought that over, and that just pretty much changed everything.
Well, I used to think that I was better than you, 'cause I thought about you. But now I know that thinking's just the way to deal without you. It's the little things, the stupid games you play when someone's watching, and it makes you feel retarded when there's no one else around. And you said I'm numb to you, but I'm numb to me. I can't give you anything. Heartache ain't my favorite tea away to someone else. All I ever wanted was a little action, and all I needed was some time to react. Maybe slow, at least I knew what it is about me I don't like.
We spoke about this kind of off mic a little bit, but I kind of came about your music through your album with Frank, the split that you did, Buddies. We'll probably touch on a little bit later. You're doing another one called Still Buddies. You told me it's been released in a couple of hours, actually, so that's kind of fun.
It's going to be out in, I don't know. I can't do math. Think of words. 8.5 hours, I think.
So from that work, I discovered that you were in this punk rock band called Armchair Martin, a band that you formed in '93. So it was kind of just in time of that '94 renaissance of punk. Did that help you and your band start touring, or was it already on like a projection of we're a touring band already?
Not really. We didn't fit in with those bands. To be honest, we were. Yeah, we were more of a Midwest rock, like a Husker Du kind of band, replacements kind of band. And I remember when I put that record out, Eric, the guy who owned Cargo, or still owns Cargo, he was like, yeah, the music you make, people don't buy. I'm like, okay. He's like, but they will. It goes around in a circle every 10 years. I'm like, oh. And not that I ever thought about changing, but I mean, I really feel like, Drag the River is it's definitely more of a country kind of band, but when I played the electric guitar, in that band, it could have been an Armchair Martian song too, it just on how loud we plan on playing. I kind of feel like the kind of music I make has always sort of been the same, and I'm not saying that Eric told me just to stick with it, but I guess maybe that kind of stuck with me. Just keep doing the same thing, or not the same thing. I love AC/DC, but I'm not, there's nothing wrong with them. When you make up a sound like that, you should just do that, because that's a good sound, right? That's arguably one of the best rock bands, Of course, I'm more of a Thin Lizzy man, but I love AC/DC, but Thin Lizzy, yeah, I'd be like to be more of a Thin Lizzy guy, where I have a bunch of different people that I played with, and I like to play to their strengths, and different, and that's why the music sounds different, is because you have a bunch of different folks that you play with, and you don't try to pigeonhole them and make them play the music that they think you want to play. Like, that's what I always say to them, if we're playing old songs on tour, I'm like, just play them how you want to play them, and I'll be right there. It'll be less boring for me too. Let's just do it. Let's do what makes whatever you feel good. Oh, you want to do a gallop beat? Okay, let's try that. You know, it's fun.
Keeping you on your toes.
Yeah.
You seem to be the Kevin Bacon, though, of the punk world. Like, everyone seems to know you through another person. Like, it's like the 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon seems to be the 5 degrees of Jon. I mean, how did you end up becoming this person that everyone just knows?
I don't know. I guess I didn't know that. I mean, do they say good things?
I mean, as far as I'm aware, yeah. I mean, if you look at like the collaboration that you've done in your albums, that's like a big chunk of the people within the punk community. And then you went on the original Revival tour with like Laura Jane Grace.
He wasn't on that one. The first one was, which I wasn't, and it still kind of bums me out. I mean, I only got to do about a third of what was originally offered me to do. It just did not work out. It was fun, but it was Frank Turner. That's not true. No. Frank didn't do the first.
Kevin Seconds.
Kevin did. Kevin took my dates from the Northwest. Like, I stopped in Salt Lake City, and I was supposed to go on up to Montana and up over there to Seattle and Portland and stuff. And I was supposed to start sooner too. But Frank was on the second one. That's actually where I met him. But the first one was Tim Barry, Ben Nichols, Chuck Reagan, Austin Lucas did a bunch, Kevin Seconds. So like me and Austin and Kevin were kind of like the guys that came in and just did some, you know. I wish I could have done more of that. That's arguably one of my favorite tours of all time. And it's the kind of show I like to do. Like, when I would do acoustic shows, and still, I don't always make people do it. Lots of times I do, but it's kind of a known thing. If you're going to play a show with me, kind of doesn't matter. Like, I'm kind of lucky. Like, I have some friends, you know, that are much more popular bands than mine. But I just like to trade songs on stage. You just go back and forth, and sometimes you play 3 in a row, and you know, you go take a piss, you know, or you go and get drinks at the bar and bring them back for the folks. And you have stories, and it's different every night. That's what I like. That's a small version of that. And then the Revival tour was a big version of that. Then when I did the band Scorpios with Joey and Tony, we definitely like to do more of a Revival tour type of thing. It's just people coming and going, and like that kind of show it's still my favorite way to do shows. Like, if one of the last show I really did, I went out to play with the band Face to Face, and I was opening for them for like, they did like a holiday thing. And I was so excited because I think they know maybe I kind of do this, and either they do or they don't. I think they did, but they're like, would you like to do a song with us? And we do a song with you and we make the show go together. I'm like, you know, I do. Like, I love it. So yeah, we finished with the Thin Lizzy song. I did a Thin Lizzy song, and then we went right into one of their songs, and then I just took my guitar off and walked off and left.
Well, when I spoke to Joey Cape about doing a Revival, he said he was petrified of it because he kind of felt really intimidated by seeing these musicians go out there and kind of what you were saying that you enjoy and just riffing. And he said he was worried that he couldn't do that. So he just usually like stand to the back. I'm guessing that was never an issue for you.
No, I was ready. I remember the first day, it just went right into it. I was stoked. It was fun. I was over by Ben, and Ben told me it was a great note. He's like, dude, when they just launch into some song you don't know, just kick your tuner on and just strum. I'm like, oh, is that like what Johnny Cash did in The Highwayman? You know, because you ever see those videos and you just playing and you're like, that's not even the right key, dude. But just knowing that, and just knowing like, dude, there's 6 guitars up here, like whatever, you know. It's the best. No, I love that. And I knew, Joey, he definitely was petrified of that. I tried to get him to do acoustic shows and acoustic songs and just come out, you know, just because it's fun to play music and like have him come and play with me like all the time. And then he finally did. And then we did a lot of it together, you know, for a long time. I'm sure we might do one again someday. Who knows? There's no plans for it. But that was a really good time in my life too. And then it turned into actually putting out the Scorpios records.
The name Scorpios, is that from Adam and the Ants' Stand and Deliver track?
It's funny you say that, because when we were going to do a second Scorpios record, I really wanted to cover that song. And I am so bummed that my phone like reset and I didn't save some stuff, but there is some of the best Tony Sly. It just breaks my heart. Some Tony Sly, like phone messages, right? All like audio, but also just text. And when I was trying to say like, okay, we're gonna go into it was for a tour. And I'm like, we got to do this. And I sent him the song, and Tony's like, all right, dude, I heard the song. Yeah, that's the worst song I've ever heard. I love it. I still want to do an edit though of it, where the intro music just goes into the outro music. You know the song I'm talking about.
Yeah, the intro is iconic.
That's,
just the like just the
it's so
great, it's so good. Big fan of it.
Oh yeah. So that is for me. That was I don't know about the same, like Ramones time. Like that's before I listened to Dead Kennedys, and like I got that record, Prince Charming, at it was just when I was. It's just hard to say what had come first, but I just loved finding new music and just interesting stuff. But I found Prince Charming at a Walmart, type place when we were just shopping for, glasses. Who knows? I was just with my family, and it was just in a bin, and I saw that. And what else did I get that day? I got this going back suggesting about the Husker Du, like comp idea. That's where I got one of the first comps that I'd ever gotten. And I had that song, That's Why You Always Find Me in the Kitchen at Parties. You know that song?
I don't know.
Oh, it's good. Just Google it up and you'll find it. I quote it all the time. And again, the name is on the tip of my tongue. I have too many ideas, I think. I used to stutter. And they used to say it's because I have too many exciting ideas I want to get out. But anyway, so that was on there. X was on there. Dude, it was a lot of UK stuff, though. And I really wish I still had that record. But anyways, I still listen to Prince Charming. I love that record. It's so good.
It's a great record. And also the music video to it is also perfect as well. If you like just him being a dandy highwayman.
It's like they're losing their mind. Wow! And I'm inspired by them. Like I never did that on any records of mine, but now I'm just like I don't care. Kind of back to just doesn't matter, Just put out not that I ever put out dishonest music, but it's more honest than it's ever been. but there's mainly in those jingles and stuff, and there's such an adamant thing that I do all the time now. Like I'll just be singing. I wrote, do you know the guy that does the sauce that rocks? You know that guy? That's the UK.
Sauce that rocks? No.
Yeah, I wrote the song. Do you like sauce? Oh, no. I like sauce. And I like rock. I like the sauce that rocks. And I go, it's the only UK taco sauce. And when I sing harmonies now, at the end of the songs, it's like I'm losing my goddamn mind. I talk to myself. So I'll be like, the only UK taco sauce? And then my other voice, and then my background vocals like, well, it's the only one I know of. And I talk in like a different voice. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to die one of these days soon, probably. And that'll be part of it. They're like, yeah, dude, during that pandemic, he was just losing his goddamn mind.
I've just Googled it and I've just found it. It's Reese Original Sauce That Rocks. That's the guy.
Yeah, the song. So I wrote a song for them, and no one's heard it because. Okay, so back to the taste bird. It kind of looks like the word taco. So I told them I'd make a taco sauce, and I'm gonna have Chris Sherry just change that to taco. So this is an exclusive right here. I've just been busy with other records and stuff, and we haven't gotten it done. But I want to make a taco sauce for the folks in the UK.
Do it.
The song is great. It goes, I learned about it when I was in the UK. I got home and had some shipped my way. And then I list off some of the ingredients. Lemon, onion, and coriander. I'm still unsure about Rapitos still. Do you like sauce? Y'all like Rapitos? Or I don't know. Rapitos. There's some stuff that I Googled up. I had to Google up that some Brits speak. It's not the way I would call it, It's not the way I know it. Coriander.
Coriander,
is,
yeah.
Yeah, but that's
It's an Indian spice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I know the word, I've heard it, but there's something else. Anyways, I can't think of words.
I was going to say, are we about to go through all the spices that are from the UK and we'll just reel them off one by one?
I'm sorry, I get the way I get. I hope you're talking to me because I'm enjoying talking to you.
I know, it's all good. I'm enjoying it. It's fun.
When I moved to Colorado, I think it's where I stay. Tony's just a chill dude from San Jose. Randall stays an hour away by the bay. Brian flies from New York City here to play.
My mom bought me a necklace when I was about 10. Back in 1980 when it shot Lennon dead, I looked down at the Scorpio charm on my chest and dreamt about a beetle in a bulletproof vest. Scorpios,
Scorpios, Scorpios, Scorpios.
Boise is a Libra and a shit-talking man. Sylvia says we're all safe in the hands. Frolic wants to be one of the dudes in the band. They all speak a language that I don't understand.
We will end at Amsterdam come Halloween. I hope you like birthdays. Share a few before the tour ends. Two of us are scared to fly. None of us love the heights. All of us hate the boat, but we are the traveling kind. Scorpios, 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 Scorpios. Two of us are scared to fly.
In the UK, have you ever tried to go to a football game in the UK?
No, I'd love to, though.
Oh, mate. Next time you're over, if you've got time, we'll go to a game in London. There's so many teams in London. You can easily go to one. We'll do it. We won't do the Arsenals or the Chelseas. We'll do it like a lower league one. So like an AFC Wimbledon or Charlton. And, yeah.
Wait, so you're in London. Do you ever go up to Leeds?
Yeah, of course.
You want to go see a town match?
Leeds United?
Or Leeds, but town.
What do you mean?
Huddersfield Town.
Oh, Huddersfield Town.
Yeah.
Why Huddersfield Town? That's such a random team to pull out your hat.
Because that's the only shirt I got.
The Terriers. Well, I mean, if
I got a jersey from my buddy Jimmy Islip, which goes back to the Revival tour. He did the Revival tour with Chuck and Frank, I think, in the UK the first time. Jimmy Islip, he's awesome. There's a band called That Fucking Tank, and a bunch of bands. Great drummer, good singer. You should look him up. Jimmy Islip. Yeah, he's great. He puts on shows, like he put on shows forever. I met him when we were on tour with Chris Wallard and the Ship Thieves. He's like a Leeds promoter, but he only one of those promoters though. He puts on shows for his friends, So I got to meet him through the Hot Water Music type world, and that. Talking about, just the 7 degrees of Snodgrass. I mean, I guess you just do things for a long time, and everyone has bad days sometimes, but hopefully I'm not a dick that often, and it's fine. That's just how things go. Right.
Yeah, definitely.
I try to keep in touch with everybody. I'm friends with all my ex-girlfriends, and friends with all my friends. I don't hold grudges.
Just be a good person. That's it. That's all people need to do. Is just be a good person. Treat people how you want to be treated, and then the world will be a better place.
That's what I always say. That's great. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a really short life. I guess it's not a bad segue into the record that Frank and I are putting out. Like one of those songs is, he had that idea. He was just talking about how he never thought the apocalypse would be boring. And I'm like, oh, that'll be a good song. And then I asked him if I got to go find a cable to charge up my phone here a little bit. So Frank was talking about that. And I go, oh, have you ever heard, kind of the same time I was getting into punk rock. I was really into, comedy and and I learned a lot. There's just a lot of things I learned from George Carlin just when I was like a kid, and I just stuff that stuck with me, and his whole bit about like I went and rewatched it, and he was saying he's like, everyone's worried about plastic and blah, blah. And yeah, I actually am worried about plastic. Like maybe not as much back then in like the 80s. I mean, we should have worried about it, which also brings me to I have an idea for a song it's called Double Use, and it's about if you ever get single use plastic, just use it twice at least. Try to use it for a week, but if we use it twice, like maybe that'll cut it in half, right? But anyway, that's kind of the only thing that's sort of bad about that, is that he's kind of just talking about people being too worried about the plastic. He maybe shouldn't have said that nowadays, but in my opinion, but
it's comedian of his time, though, isn't it? It's comedian of his time. Yeah,
right. But he was basically saying, "Oh, people." He was just saying how insignificant like we are, and how it's a load of shit that we could think that we actually could affect the world with our plastic. We actually kind of are, But what he's saying is true. I think it's happening. He's just like, one of these days, like, this world's just going to shake us off like a bad case of the fleas.
Never thought the apocalypse would be boring. I was expecting more of a bang, less of a sigh. The TV shows implied would be exciting, but I still don't know anyone who's died. Here we are, finally on our knees, waiting for the world to shake us off like a bad case of the fleas.
And that's obviously the track that you and Frank have released out at the moment.
Yeah.
Fleas. Yeah. Segue. So what's it like creating? Because again, I've been fortunate to have Frank on this podcast a couple of times, and he's a good guy. What's it like to work with someone who's like a wordsmith, like who's really quick on his feet? Like, do you find that as, now we're cooking because he's got the same mindset as me?
He's good, and he knows about history. Have you heard the record yet?
I haven't heard the new record. No.
So by the time this comes out, people have heard it, so I can talk about shit. So like one of the songs, I just to explain this point, and I'm not even answering your question. I think I'm just talking about. Regardless, so the character of me, is just talking about how, you know the band Kiss.
Yes.
Okay, and also, if anyone is from Scotland here, because I am a Scot, right? I think I want to leave my country. I need someone to talk to me about how to get some kind of dual citizenship and get some shit happening, if someone can contact me about that later. All right. Is that cool? Did I put that in there?
That's fine, right? That's fine. But unfortunately, though, you'll have a UK passport, not a Scottish passport.
Well,
so you're going to be connected to the English, unfortunately.
If I got a Scottish passport.
You won't get a Scottish. There's no such thing.
I know, but that's going to happen, isn't it?
Well, we're getting into local politics now, John.
I need to get all of that at the moment. Again, I don't really know. I like all of the UK. I like the northern part of Ireland. I like the southern part of Ireland. I like all the people. Everyone just treat everyone cool. That's just pretty cool. I like everyone in the United States. We're just very divided. It's so fucked. I mean, the wedge issues that started in 1970s. I mean, it's still happening.
Yeah.
But anyways, UK passport's great. And then if Scotland secedes someday, that has nothing to do with me. I don't know anything about it. I'll learn about it when I move over there, and we'll make good judgments. we'll see. I can't talk about it right because I don't know. But anyways, so this. So I've been wanting to do this song forever. You know that song "Beth" by Kiss?
Yep.
Okay. And and then this is an example of my heightened ridiculousness. But you know the Queen, Macbeth.
Yeah.
But anyways, my character like thinks it's a queen, like that's the whole thing. But regardless, we did a song called Macbeth to the tune of Beth, and we just changed it enough. Beth, I read your story. An assignment on my school said it was written in English, but it made me feel a fool because the whole song is about just me just being ignorant, and I don't know. So that's why I suggest that I think it's a queen. But the idea is that I'm trying to read Shakespeare and it's in English. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? I can't read this. This is dense. What are these words? That's the whole idea about it. So I took it as far as I could. And yeah. So actually, Scottish people listening to it are going to be like, this fuck doesn't know anything. But I clearly do. So I just tore the curtain back on that. But anyways.
Well, I mean, if we can talk a bit about politics, if you want to talk a little bit about politics, because obviously very recently you just had your election, and hopefully the right person's won. And like, how are you feeling? You're feeling positive? You're feeling good?
It's just like, God, what did somebody say? It's just like, it's just like when you're evicting someone that doesn't want to leave and they're gonna fucking do an upper decker in the bathroom and wipe shit on the walls, burn the place down, and like, it's just fucking ridiculous and it's embarrassing. And I've been embarrassed for 4 years, and the folks that voted for him, I mean, everyone is in their own bubble. I'm sure you've heard people talk about that. I mean, just people watch their own news channel that feeds them what they want to hear. And no one's hearing the other side's information, what they think. And no one's there. There's no conversation, about anything. I mean, I'm not into guns, right? Mm-hmm. For example. And I'm not into pretty much anything that someone like Ted Nugent is going to have to say. But Ted Nugent was on this podcast, and I'm like, that I listen to sometimes. I'm like, you know what? I need to listen to that. Let's see what he has to say, because I like to check in with all sides and see what they have to say. And he talked about this wasting disease that I didn't know about, that's among wolves, and it's just helping the population. I mean, it's sad, but there's animals that are going to die either horrifically or, I'm like, okay, so I guess, maybe that makes sense. It's still not for me, I'm kind of just giving you an example of listening. Yeah. And my mind was sort of changed on that, my grandfather, he lived on a farm. I grew up there. My cousins, they always went hunting and stuff. And my grandfather was never interested in that. But, they butchered cattle, and so there's that. It's just what you grow up with. But then I saw him shoot a raccoon once, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, I thought you didn't like to shoot animals. He's like, this animal was stealing from me. He was eating our corn, and that's basically like he's eating money out of our bank. That's how we make money. I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, and if he goes and comes back, he said that the raccoon would bring buddies, is what he said. So we got to stamp it out. And that was kind of harsh. I wasn't super stoked on that, but I'm definitely going off on a tangent. But that kind of started me with like guns, and they just seem unsafe. And I had a stepdad that had a good bed, and it just gave me fucking nightmares. And just, you hear about kids shooting themselves. I was never in, but I did listen to someone that I didn't think I would normally agree with. And, he had an opinion on something that made sense to me. And I wish more people would listen.
Let's end this podcast on a positive. What one thing are you looking forward to in the new year? Like, what's something that you're really looking forward to? Is it going to a baseball game again? Is that your one thing you're most looking forward to post-COVID?
Like baseball games, I love baseball games. This is a good thing to end on. Because it's good to get outside, right? But the thing I really, really love about baseball games and going to baseball games, okay, it's because you're outdoors, right? Breathing it in, but you're kind of like indoors too. You can order a hot dog. You're in the great outdoors, but you can pee in a toilet.
Just those luxuries of pissing in the toilet, but outdoors.
Yeah, actually, I shouldn't have said the toilet. The toilet's not a big deal to me. We only have one bathroom here. So, yeah, I'm outdoors peeing on trees all the time.
We'll end it on that. John, mate, thank you for talking to me. This has been a crazy chat, and I'm sure people will enjoy it. I hope they like baseball, because if they don't, they're going to struggle with this episode.
Seriously, you got to give it a shot. I'll see you hopefully in October, and we'll watch some baseball together.
I'll give it a go.
Right?
I'll give it a go. I'll promise you that.
I was about to kind of get going back into our interview, but I'm going to let you go because it's probably time.
All right then, John.
I appreciate you putting up with me, all right?
My pleasure. Thank you for talking, pal. And I hope the rest of your house building goes well.
I got to get to that. I was about to measure. Woo! I'm glad you reminded me.
Fuck, that was fun. Thank you so much to John for stepping away from building his home to speak to me. Make sure you go pick up his new album, Taste, as well as his collaboration with Frank Turner, Still Buddies, now out via Anti Records and Extra Mile, respectively. Thank you so much to Diamonds and Guns for sponsoring the podcast. I dig their sound. I hope you do too. If you enjoy what you heard, make sure you go show them some love. Link for that is in the episode description as well. Right, I'm off. Stay well, be loving to each other, and next week I'll be speaking to Sick of It All. Till then, bye-bye.